You're listening to the Building and Branding Podcast, brought to you by Virtual Vision. I'm your host, Amanda Stichter. On this show, I sit down with experts in the restoration and home services industry to hear their stories of how they built their businesses to succeed and stand out. Our conversations will uncover the challenges they've faced, the strategies they've employed, and the pivotal moments that defined their paths. We'll also dive into the critical importance of branding and marketing in this field, sharing insights on how to create a compelling brand that resonates with customers and stands out in a competitive market. Join us as we blend practical advice with inspiring real-life stories, providing you the tools and motivation to craft precision and build a lasting brand. Welcome to Building and Branding. Let's get started. In this episode of Building and Branding.
They've been in business for years and years. I remember having a moment of sitting there with them, being in awe, watching them look at it as if they had just seen it for the first time. How do you have your individual brand, be your own individual person, but also be that brand ambassador for the company? You are authentically you, and you love what it is that you do. It's going to show. You have to love what you're doing, and we've been finding some great pieces to the puzzle. Are you allowing that person to be themselves when they come and they show up for work every day? Or are you watering them down? Are you taking value away from them instead of pouring into them?
Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us today for another episode of the Building and Branding Podcast. I'm your host, Amanda Stichter. Today, I am joined by two people that I just would love to call you guys my family, basically. So I have no doubt that we'll have some great conversation today, but also probably a good amount of laughs. Today, I am joined by the crew from JOC Analytics. I've got Kenny, who is the general director at JOC, and then I've got Mandy, who is the newer member of the team from the last couple of weeks, the director of business development and strategy. Welcome, guys. Thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, I gave your titles, I gave who you are, but break it down for me. I'm going to give you each a chance to chat. Tell me who you are and what your role actually means. And then, yeah, well, let's start there.
Okay. Yeah, I can get started. So obviously my name's Kenny Brewer. I'm the general manager for JOC Analytics. So if you don't know what JOC Analytics does, we build reports for people to run their business, right? See all the details of what's going on, timelines, things like that. Revenues, stuff like that for their business. But my background is nothing of the sort. I come from quite a few different backgrounds, one of which being the military. I was in the Army for 5 years as an air defense officer, then got out of that and into, I guess, the corporate world, where my last role kind of floated around analytics a little bit, but I worked for a cancer testing company down in Fort Myers, Florida. And so I was there for 4 years as a business manager, and was able to work on a project that was very similar to JOC and similar to the reporting and the data analytics. And so it kind of made transition over to JOC a little bit of a seamless transition, one that made sense. I also previously owned a business, so me coming over to run JOC as well as dive into the analytics and the reporting, all kind of meshed together, so that I could come and try to help the restoration industry figure out what they're doing in their business daily. So I guess that's a little about me and what I do.
Awesome.
And Mandy, you've been with JOC now for what, about 3 weeks? 3 weeks? Awesome. Okay. Introduce yourself, and then I have so many questions. Like I have to hold myself back from asking the questions. So give me you first, and then I'll ask my questions.
All right. You want me? Here I am. So, hello, everyone. I am Mandy Rewis. I am the newest member of JOC Analytics, and I'm so excited to be here. The path that brought me here kind of started a little over pretty much with my career with AnswerForce. I was with the company for 6.5 years. It was an amazing journey. I was able to support not just AnswerForce, but the company is a parent company with 16 brands underneath. So I supported 5 of the 16, AnswerForce being one of them. Oh, I forgot to mention, I live in Orlando, Florida. So anyone on the East Coast, hello. And I'm here with my family, my beautiful family. I have 5 children. My husband, who is also here, he's somewhere else, not here right now, but he's somewhere else. And we decided that AnswerForce was a great opportunity for me because of the amount of kids that I have, and he's also military. So I needed something that was flexible and would allow me to be able to grow and scale and still work remotely to be able to service the needs of my family first. During that time, I served in multiple roles. I moved in onto the sales side at about 2020. And that's when I started dabbling into restoration. So at that point, that's when I was like, restoration. I didn't know the industry. I didn't know really anything about the industry as far as how much went into it. I thought it was just a bunch of different contractors that created restoration, not realizing that it was an industry in itself. So with that understanding and kind of just jumping straight in, I started going to events and, stumbled my way for the first year or so until I learned essentially what the industry stood for, the community that's within the industry. And I fell in love. I really did. It's kind of like me. It's just all over the place, but it's small, right? So it's like this big, mighty industry that's in this one, it's like a small package. So I kind of just really enjoyed being a part of it and servicing it and building connections, making relationships, meeting amazing people, who's now a part near and dear to me and a part of my community. And then now I've decided I'm ready to take it to the next level. I want to get that much more into it to the point that it's time to understand the analytics and the data that surrounds the industry. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
I love it. I love it. Well, and it is a really cool connection because you obviously already had that connection to quite a bit of data that AnswerForce was gathering. To bring that now into the JOC realm, I mean, it's very powerful. And yes, I mean, girl, from the day I met you, I was like, she's a powerhouse. Can I follow her? So
don't follow me.
I love it. I love it. You got a good one, Kenny. You got a good one.
Yeah, I'd say so. And you see a little bit difference in our energy. So it's something we were definitely missing.
Okay, I have to call this out because I think it's humorous. JOC has like this trend in hiring people where every time I like talk with one of you, you're like, oh, my start date is next week. What? But like, so Kenny, the first time I met you was at a show in Austin, and I remember you were so nice, and you were standing there with Chris, and I was talking with Chris and met you, and I was like, so how long have you been with JOC? And you were like, oh, my first day is next Monday. And I was like, what? Like, is this trial by fire? Did they say, before you come, we're going to bring you to a show and see how you do? But you've done that now with like multiple of your future employees.
Yeah.
Mandy, did he put you through the ringer like this too?
Second.
Okay.
Hey, I was at PSA.
I mean, you're right. It's a trend that we have, right? I guess it started with me. So Chris brought me on, Chris and Owen brought me on, and they said they had an event coming up right after I signed, to start working with those guys, and it just made sense for me to go. It was towards the end of the year. There was no more shows, and I wanted to see what it was all about. I didn't want to wait for the next 4 months for that to happen. And I really liked the fact that I was just able to just go and see it all right now. And I was excited about it, right? So I went, and it was good. I met you. We've been kind of show buddies ever since, and it's been awesome. So without that, maybe I don't meet you at the same time, and things are a little bit different, right?
It's true.
But it was exciting, and I enjoyed it. And then I brought on somebody that I really enjoyed being around, and we had a show coming up that I wanted him to be a part of. And I said, hey, if you're available, I know you're not started with us yet, but this would be really good for you. Yeah. And you met him there too.
Yes,
Mandy met him at that show as well. But I think it's just a mixture of, people being excited to start working with JOC, which is obviously a good thing. People that we're hiring are eager to learn and jump in and want to be successful. So they want to take in as much knowledge as possible. I know for a fact that Mandy's like that, right? She's hungry for knowledge all the time, which is awesome. And that's the way Brandon is too, which is the other person that we're talking about that we brought in early. So I think it's all great things and great reasons why we kind of hit the ground running and start a little bit early, a little bit.
A little bit, just a little bit. Too funny. Okay, so one of the questions that I always ask people, and Mandy, you kind of talked a little bit about this, like in telling your own story, but like this is such a unique, like niche industry, the restoration industry, that most people, first of all, like don't even know exists until you need it. Someone that I was actually talking to earlier this week compared it to a funeral home. Like we all know the funeral homes are there, but like no one's knocking down their door until you need it, right? That's a really morbid example, but you get my point. I didn't come up with it. Someone else said that example. But like this industry is so much the same. And I think when you first jump into it, you're a little bit like, what is this? Like you said, Mandy, like it's a community. The word that comes to my mind is brotherhood, but there's obviously a big shift in the industry. There's a lot of men and we're trying to promote more women. So I'm not sure what we'd change that to, personhood. I don't know.
Yeah. It's what I'm a human-centric community.
Yes. And
human
while it's
first, because it has to be human first.
It is.
You have to be.
It has to be human first. Yeah, and it's very focused on serving, but also very focused on real people.
Yeah.
And getting to know other real people, which is why I love the conversations that I get to have on this show, because I think we can represent our businesses all day long, but at the core of it, we are still people too, who are serving someone else or coming into this industry with the idea of we want to help, and whatever we're providing through our business does that. But we also meet these people like you two who become our show buddies or our family that we just like, we're like, you're my people that I connect to here. And I love that. I guess that brings me to like my next thing. I get on a soapbox really easily about it's important for us to build the brands of our business and to understand the why behind what we do. And so I want to start by diving into a little bit deeper of like the why behind JOC, but then I want to circle that back to like you are each an individual representing JOC. What does it look like to be you and have like your own personal brand in light of that? Not one that's taking away from the business, but that's adding to it in a way that's also not just focused on you. Okay, so that's twofold question here. Let's start at the front.
Want to take that first, Kenny?
I'm going to throw that over the wall to you, Mandy. You're the one with the amazing brand, so I would love for you to talk about it.
But the first half of that is I want to dive a little bit into JOC.
Okay.
And so, okay, so I'm going to pause you. I'm going to catch your, like, I'm going to catch that ball you just threw over to her. JOC, I remember the first time I talked with you in a little bit more depth, Kenny, and Chris was there as well. And one of the things you said to me about JOC is like, we have the solution to a problem that most people don't even know that they have. Like, they don't understand that this is a problem that they need an answer for. And when you introduced JOC, you said it very simply, which is we have the reports and the data to help you run your business, which sounds very simplistic, but it's not. Data in and of itself, to take it and use it properly, is not that simplistic. So what makes the power that what makes the data that you provide your customers so powerful in the aspect and the lens of JOC?
I think it's just it's the story of what is going on in your business, right? So everybody's tracking all of this information, and they may not know why they're tracking it. Obviously, insurance may be requiring a lot of this information, and then they're doing it just to do it at times. Some companies, as they're growing, they're doing it because they're checking a box maybe, or because they know that, hey, I need to track how much money's coming in. I need to know these things as basic business principles, right? But
sure,
what do I do with it? Where does it take me? Like, how does it help me in the long run, right? And so Chris being, the general manager of a large company, when he was active as, a general manager, with our other owners, being business owners as well in this industry, they've really been able to paint a picture and come together and say, these are the important things that help us run very successful businesses, right? And so we're just taking that knowledge and helping impart that on, these other restoration companies by telling them, okay, you're recording this data, you're putting it into PSA dash, whatever job management software that you're using, job site, whatever it is, right? And then what? What do you do with it? How does that benefit you? And so what you're getting on the back end, what we provide is a little bit of coaching that tells you, okay, these are the things that you should be looking for to help you be successful. These are the things that you're maybe missing out on, right? If I'm working with a very specific, referral source or insurance company, right? How many jobs are coming through there? What does the revenue look like? What does the closing ratios look like? And what does that tell me? Should I maybe dial it back with these guys? Should I maybe turn it up with these guys? Like, just little things like that really help you be very efficient in your business. So, like I said, things like that really help. And so we're providing that through data, which is obviously what we're providing, right? Which makes it a little more, it makes it simple because we get it from them or from the job management. You're already creating it, but then helping break down the more complicated aspect of what is it even doing for me? How can it make me better? How can it make me more efficient? And then turns around and just makes their company more efficient in itself. Sometimes it clicks on a light, right? People sit in on Chris's or our training sessions and they go, oh, wow, I didn't even know that we were doing that. I didn't even know that, we should be at this level of, efficiency or closing ratio, whatever the case may be, whatever that statistic is. And then they're able to map out how to get there, right? Like what
Right.
pieces of information can we plug from this report and this report and this report and put it all together and say, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is the direction we need to go and how we need to head there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does become a little more complicated than I've made it sound when we first introed it, but it's highly beneficial, right? It's very
Sure.
beneficial.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to be able to kind of go and piggyback off of what Kenny was just saying. Within my first week, I was sitting in on a training. It was a new client who was going through training with Chris, and Kenny was also on the call. And this was the first time that they had seen their data. Like, they've been in business for years and years, but this is the first time that they really was able to see out of a clear window of their business and be able to see what the data actually means for their business. And I remember having a moment of sitting there with them and being in awe, watching them look at it as if they had just seen it for the first time. Like, oh my goodness, we didn't realize that we weren't doing a good job at documenting these things. That they were missing certain pieces of information. And it was really nice over that call to hear them be able to ask questions and kind of discuss how to change and kind of, adapt their process, just immediately be able to say, hey, we need to start tracking this date better. Like, and the people that were sitting in the room, it was the owner, and I believe it was also the general manager and a few others, but literally sit there and watch based on the data that they're now being able to get a clear view, have that power view of, be able to see it and say, hey, we need to make some changes to become better. You don't know what's good until you don't know what you're doing is good until you can actually see and be able to track that. And you don't know what you're doing that may need to have an improvement on until you're able to see that. And that's what this does. That's what Power View does, is it gives them that window to their business to really be able to see and understand in real time what it is that they're doing, be able to understand their numbers. And I know for me, that was just, it was a moment of contentment of, I'm where I need to be. I like being in a place to help businesses grow, to help businesses understand what it is that they're doing. So it is a really exciting, being with JOC is really exciting, but it is really exciting to be able to offer this service to owners, to get them excited about their business and how to change it, how to grow it, know what's going well, know what they need to work on. So
and really that is the power of it, right? Like that light bulb moment where they're just enlightened to what their data can tell them. As you were sharing that, this like metaphor came to my mind in some ways. Like what JOC is doing is taking this language of like a data dump, right? And we all know, I think, was it last year's State of the Industry report showed that people are just like, they're so tired of technology. Like it's overload.
Fatigue. Yeah.
Technology fatigue. Thank you. That is the word I was looking for. But this idea that it takes this data dump that they can't decipher, and essentially JOC is like the translator for that puts it into a language they can understand without feeling like, oh my gosh, I don't even know. Here's what I want to find out. I don't even know how to take all of this data to get there. And it does that for them. That's huge. Providing that enlightenment moment. I love that. Love that.
That was a great summary. I like that, Amanda.
Well, I mean, I can Amanda trademark it, but I suppose I'll like, go ahead, Mandy. You can take it. You can take it.
I'm Amanda. That one's coming up under me. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, listeners, we've got some exciting news for you from one of our sponsors. Heads up! The highly anticipated 2024 C&R State of the Industry study drops on November 6th. Dive into groundbreaking trends, cutting-edge tech, and exclusive data that will shape the future of cleaning and restoration. Whether you're looking to get ahead of the curve or sharpen your competitive edge, this is the report you can't afford to miss. Buckle up for this year's game-changing industry insights. Register now to be a part of it all at cnrmagazine.com/state of the industry. That's cnrmagazine.com/state of the industry. Have you ever wondered what the true cost of doing business really is? Sure, we all know the numbers: gross profit, net profit, overhead, variable costs. But what about the hidden costs that don't show up on your balance sheets? Think about it. Those sleepless nights, the missed family events, the constant pressure to stay ahead in a competitive market. The restoration industry isn't just about numbers. It's about people, communities, and stories of rebuilding after disaster. That's why the 2024 Cost of Doing Business report, released by the Restoration Industry Association and powered by Know-How, is more than just data. It's a blueprint for the future, one that not only gives you a clear picture of your financials, but also helps you reclaim precious time and energy for what truly matters. Whether you're racing against time to get families back in their homes or managing the chaos of daily operations, this report provides critical insights to help you succeed both financially and personally. Don't just manage your business, master it. You can get your hands on the 2024 Cost of Doing Business report today and start building a better, more balanced future for your business. Head to costofrestoration.com to learn more. That's costofrestoration.com.
So that actually goes great into what you wanted us to talk about, right? Like branding, being able to have a individual brand that can also represent the brand that you're with, right? So it's, how do you marry the two? How do you have your individual brand, be your own individual person, but also be that brand ambassador for the company? So that's essentially, I started back when I was with Answer Force, with doing that, with trying to understand, how am I going to be a brand ambassador, but also be me, be an individual as well. And coming over to JOC and being able to bring my brand with me, which is who I am, is powerful, because the thing is that we work every day, we live, we breathe, we do everything for work, but we are individuals. And what, for me, it boils down to is, I need to love what I do every day. That is how I am going to be able to marry the two, to be able to bring both of them along. Because if I am who I am, but I also love what I do, I am going to represent that brand to the best of my ability. But then also, you get a tad bit of me too. And that's where I thank the JOC team and Kenny, especially, for letting me be me, because I think that is so important as well, is to be with a company that allows you to authentically be you. Because if you are authentically you, and you love what it is that you do, it's going to show when you show up to show every time. It's going to show when you're posting. You're going to represent, because you want to represent you're kind of tying both, because you want to represent yourself well, but in representation of yourself, you're also representing the brand that you're with well too.
You're right on. You're absolutely right on with that. And I think it makes me laugh because when I found out that you were moving to JOC, I think one of the first things I said to Kenny was, hey, you know, she can't wear those polos that you have. No offense, Kenny. I love your polos, but please, that's not Mandy's brand.
We've been trying to mix up the polos a little bit, okay,
I know,
since
I
I
like
got
it.
on. But yeah, I said the same thing. I said the same thing. We had conversations with Mandy and without Mandy that was like, no, there's no expectation that she changes anything about who she is, right? Because that's why
Right.
we wanted her on our team.
Exactly.
And that's why people know who Mandy is, because she's her. She's
She's her.
authentically her, right?
Yeah.
And so on our team, uh, we have all of those passionate people that Mandy's talking about, but we don't have a Mandy. We don't
Yeah.
have a high energy, passionate, in the way Mandy is, person that, can draw people in and help them understand what it is that we do and be excited about it and help them be excited
Mm-hmm.
about it. Chris is very
Mm-hmm.
excited about what he does. He kind of comes across as exciting the way I come across as exciting. It's not quite as contagious as Mandy, right? But all of the knowledge in the world, and he loves what he does, and people
Yeah.
love him, right? So,
Yeah.
so just finding those pieces to the puzzle has been
Mm-hmm.
something that I love doing, right? So to Mandy's
Mm-hmm.
point, you have to love what you're doing, and we've been finding some great pieces to the puzzle, and it's been exciting for me, and it's been fun for me, and it's awesome. And bringing her on has been exciting already, and I just can't even imagine as a team, as this whole team comes together, just how much good we can do for everybody
Yeah.
in restoration, right?
Yeah.
So it's fun.
You have a very strong trajectory ahead of you, that's for sure. For sure. Yeah. And realistically, like I love that you say that, both of you, of like you have to authentically be yourself. I think unfortunately there's almost this like sad expectation that when you enter a job, you have to mask who you are to fit into the culture. And like there are boundaries, right, in what we do. There are, not just in what we do, but just in work life balance in general, work life integration, however you want to word it. You know, when you come to work, you have to come to work. And sometimes if you're having a bad day, like you have to put on a face. But that is different than approaching your career and what you're doing day in and day out. It's different than approaching it as I have to literally change who I am to function well in this role. And I think it's hard to watch the people that have to do that. And I don't say that like speaking down to anyone who may even be listening to this of like, that's 100% where I am. Listen, I've been there too. Like, I think we all have at one point or another. And you don't realize how hard it is until then you get to a place where you can be the opposite and go, now, like, now they connect. Now you can marry the two. I can be who I am genuinely, authentically, but I can also tie that to the passion I feel for what I'm doing every day. And there's something really special that comes out of it when you can put those two together.
And you know what, Amanda, that actually starts from the when you're looking to, if you're looking to hire as an employer, you need to look internally as well and say, hey, what does our culture look like? Are we encouraging people to be their authentic selves if they come to us? So it's both ends. It's not just somebody who's looking for a role, because that person is also going to look like, hey, am I going to need to change? Am I going to have to be different to go to this next employer? So it has to be something that's thought about on both ends of, okay, are we an employer who promotes that type of energy, or are we an employer who's like, you need to conform to who we are?
Right.
And I think that's very, very important, especially when we start talking about like industry trends. If we're talking about like employment, which is something that the state of the industry always discusses, because that is like one of the number one like pain points in the industry.
Yeah.
How do we
Yep.
keep people?
Right.
And when we're talking about things that just within here, it's, are you allowing your people to come up? Like there's going to be, protocols. There's going to be probably dress codes and so on and so forth. But for every role, are you allowing that person to be themselves when they come and they show up for work every day? Or are you watering them down? Are you taking value away from them instead of pouring into them? So I know for me, when it came to making a decision on if JOC was going to be a good fit, career wise for me, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Because I just knew that, the culture there was a perfect fit for who I am and what I want to be a part of. The vision that they see is a vision that I can also share. So
Yeah.
it's making sure that people can be themselves and also share that company vision and bring their brand with them.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, Kenny, that's a real testament to you even and the team, prior to Mandy even joining you, because you said at the beginning, like, you're not as bubbly, and like high energy as Mandy,
Say
but
bubble, but yes.
okay, well, you know what I meant. Like, you have a different personality, but in that you're still you. You're still who you are in this, and that, like, Mandy was able to see that in coming to JOC, and I think that speaks so highly of the company itself.
Yeah, that makes me feel great. And that's the goal, right? As they've given me the task to build this team and make it something incredible, which it was when I got here, but it was a very small team, still a small team, but the plan is to grow, and in that process, that's my goal, right? Is for everybody to feel the culture and feel comfortable here, be themselves, obviously, like we talked about. And so even in the interview process, I'm asking more so, I'm trying to get them to interview me, right? Like,
Right.
are we a good fit for you? Because
Yeah.
for the roles that we picked up so far, it's people that we've kind of targeted, right?
Sure.
Or we knew that we wanted them in the first place. And so how are we a good fit for you? And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and that's okay. It's nothing negative at all, but everybody needs to obviously mesh and gel together as best as possible. And then you need to be happy with where you're at. And we need to be happy with you as well. So we put you into a spot that you're not happy with, you're probably not going to be all that successful. Or maybe you grind it out, but
Right.
maybe we don't keep you for the long term. And so we don't want that at all. We want to build this family, this team that is sticking through it together and helping lift everybody up, and reminding each other of why we're here, and the fact that you like the company and you like the culture and you like what we do for the restoration industry.
Yeah.
And so if you're just doing it just to do a job, you're not going to be happy at the end of the day.
Right.
And I like you said, you've been there, Mandy, I'm sure has been there. I've been there where we're just working because they're paying me a pretty good amount of money. And so I'm going to stick here and stick it out. But at the end of the day, I end up leaving because it's not necessarily about the money, right? It's about being happy. It's about your family. It's about what you're doing. That's why I enjoyed the Army. That's why I enjoyed working for Habitat for Humanity, because, and that's why I enjoyed working for Neogenomics, the cancer testing company, because I was doing something that I was helping other people out, right? So that was fulfilling. Right. A couple of other roles that I've had wasn't fulfilling. The conversation might have been good, but it just didn't fill my cup, I guess, if you could say, right? So, so when people come here, I want them to feel fulfilled like that. I want them to see the vision that Chris has set forward. Chris loves helping people. He loves helping companies succeed. So I want them to see that, feel that, and then help contribute ways to continue to make that better and make that successful. So
I think all of that then really just circles back to this concept that we talked right at the beginning. Like, this is a unique industry, and you get into it and then you end up kind of just staying because it creates this, it just like has a draw to it that I can't even explain once you've been in it, because everyone's here to help at some level, right? Like, they're all in it to serve someone else. Sure, we're also running businesses, and like we are trying to make money, and like, but there's this culture to this industry that I have yet to find in another industry.
Yep. It's definitely a culture of more so of servanthood, where people are, we all are in it. We all need money to survive, right? We all are working to make money. However, when you get to the root of it, who the industry supports, they're supporting people that have lost everything.
Yeah.
And it takes a special type of person to come in when someone has literally lost everything and rebuild their lives.
Yep.
To help them restructure and rebuild their lives. And we, on the vendor side, we are supporting, we're part of the ecosystem, and we're supporting, their efforts. So it also gives us that level of fulfillment of, we're doing our part to help them do what they need to do to support those people who they're serving.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, before we end our time, I want to ask each of you one final question. I like to just ask anyone, who's been in this industry for a little while, what advice would you give to someone who either maybe is first coming into this industry, kind of dipping their toes into it, or maybe someone who's trying to decide if this is the place for them to stay? What advice would you give them? I don't care who goes first, but I'll let you jump at it.
I'll go because I'll kind of piggyback off of what we were talking about with the industry being unique. When you come into this industry, like I did a year ago, like a year and a month now, definitely take the opportunities that are given from people outside of your business or your organization to reel in any tidbits and any advice and experiences that other people have had. Because one thing that this industry is very unique for, and I've worked in a lot. What could be seen as competitor companies, right? Coming together to help everybody as a whole.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen so many companies that are best friends with other companies and other business owners that know people from, here, there, and everywhere else that come together and just help each other. Whether that's, hey, can you bring on somebody to help train them? Can you come down and help us with a disaster? Can you, whatever the case may be, right? They're always willing to help, which I think is something incredible about this industry. And so you really have to take those opportunities to, all three of us came from different companies, right? But we grew close and we always have helped each other out. And take those opportunities to do that and to network and to learn and talk to people, because I have not met a single person at any show, at any company that I've engaged with that wasn't absolutely willing to help. Even people that we've lost as customers, customers of JOC have extended their hand to always help us out because, and always help us out. They understand our mission. They will refer us to other people. They will give us feedback. Any type of information, they've extended that, whether they're our customers or not. And so, like I said, that's just something very unique to restoration that I found. And I think people should definitely take those opportunities and make themselves better, make their organizations better by just talking to other people and asking those questions and seeking out that mentorship and that help and that guidance, and then turn around and doing it to other people as well, obviously.
Yeah. Love that. Mandy?
I mean, it's similar to Kenny. It's, get out there, if you are brand new in the industry, we were all there. Just know that we were all there once before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everybody was brand new at some point into this industry. So go out there, meet people you don't know. Don't be afraid to shake a hand. Don't be afraid to go and stand in a room full of strangers and introduce yourself. Ask them who they are. Even if you've been in the industry for years, don't be afraid to go and stand in a room full of strangers. Always get to know the people who you are standing in front of. And that is one of the biggest things. I would also say find mentors within the industry. I have several that I've leaned in on it within the last couple of years or several years. If there's a question I don't know, if there's something I don't understand, make sure you're always asking questions. Make sure you have people that you, are in your circle. You can create a circle. Create a circle that you can trust and can help you be able to gain that knowledge and insight within the industry. And then if you're struggling, let's say you've been in the industry and you're struggling, don't be afraid to change it up. Change is constant. That's the only thing that is sure or guaranteed in this world, in this life, is change. So if it's not working for you, this industry isn't for everyone. So maybe if it isn't, then, it's time to figure out where to go. But before you give up on saying this industry isn't for me, go and change it up. Meet different people. Change your circle up. Get to know, shake different hands, get to know others, because that circle may be very different than a new one you might create. And you might find success within there and your community, your people. So always be on the hunt, on the search to find who your people are. I found mine.
I love that. I love that. Oh, you guys. I got a whole page here of like really good, just like audio bites. I'm going to be like, I'm going to edit that one out because that was good. That was good. Awesome. Well, you guys, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today. Finally, before we leave, if any of our listeners want to get a hold of you, what's the best way for them to reach out?
If they want to get a hold of me personally, it's K Brewer at JOC Analytics. Obviously, if they want to reach out to talk about analytics or get a demo at all, they can jump on JOCanalytics.com. Basically, anything you want, JOCanalytics.com. So if it's email, just throw it at the end of our name. So, but definitely, reach out using the email or the demo page on our website, and we can talk about anything and everything.
And catch us at the shows. I'll definitely be there, and I look forward to seeing and meeting everyone there within this next. It's going to be, I guess, a busy 2025. So I look forward to seeing everyone.
They're saying.
I know. I look forward to meeting and seeing everyone there. Please do not hesitate to stop by or stop me. Maybe you could join my circle.
There you go. Yes, I love that. Arms wide open.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for everyone listening today. This has been another episode of the Building and Branding Podcast. We'll catch you next time. That's a wrap on another episode of the Building and Branding Podcast. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this conversation and got some valuable insights to take with you. While you're at it, if you liked this episode, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so that you never miss another episode. You can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you like to listen. And if you want to learn more about the show or suggest a guest for a future episode, you can head to buildandbrandpodcast.com. That's buildandbrandpodcast.com. Until next time, keep building, keep branding, and I'll catch you soon.